You know, media bias has been getting me down lately. Because at this point, American media is not journalism. None of it is. It's all partisan, and each media organization acts as a PR firm for the political cause or party that they align with the most. And it turns out that the news organizations with the most viewers are biased towards neoliberal and Democrat causes. I call them the Democrat media complex. I've been doing research lately on how many people died as a result of the George Floyd defund the police Black Lives Matter protests. And I found out that 35 people died as a direct result of those protests, 20 of which were homicides, and all of those homicides were committed by leftists. But the first result on Google when I type in Antifa killed 35 people is this article trying to claim that right-wing extremists have killed 329 people since 1994. Meanwhile, anti-fascists, as they call them, have killed none. Zero. Zilch. They're trying to say that anti-fascists are a bunch of saints and they would never hurt a soul. It's just not in their nature. And, you know, I hear many leftists making this argument that right-wing terrorism is a real threat, even more dangerous than the Taliban. Stephen Colbert made that ridiculous claim just recently. And I want to say this is a false argument that the right-wing terrorists have killed 329 people since 1994. It is a false argument. When you look at the list of right-wing terror attacks, it includes every hate crime. Every hate crime against people of a different race, religion, sexuality, or national origin. So they're trying to make it seem as though conservatives are the ones perpetrating these attacks. Meanwhile, it's just a bunch of hateful loonies who emerged from their mother's basements. Considering that they used these ridiculous standards, I'm surprised there were only 329 deaths on the list. If these same ridiculous standards were used to identify victims of left-wing violence, we'd actually see the alt-left for the dangerous political faction that it is. But they didn't use those same standards. They used a wide set of standards to apply 329 attacks to right-wing causes, yet they made the ludicrous claim that no leftist has murdered anyone since 1994. This is nothing but a propaganda hit piece. And we need to start using that word to describe the Democrat media complex. Propaganda. Because that's what it is. No better word can be used to describe it. I also stumbled upon another article. And when I started to read it, it made me absolutely sick. It's the perfect example of the power of political propaganda. And we're going to go through it together right now. It's an NPR article, and the title is, I Am Antifa. One activist's violent death became a symbol for the right and left. So already just by the title, it seems like they're giving this person who died a violent death some martyr status. He's a martyr from the way it's sounding. So let's see what they're going to say. Let's see how he died. Let's see that.
Has said it wants to designate Antifa a terrorist organization. Anti-fascist activists say they are the front line against far-right extremism. Those polarized views show up in the competing legacies of Willem Van Spronsen, a 69-year-old Seattle area activist shot dead outside an ICE detention facility 1 year ago. NPR's Hannah Alem reports.
Before dawn on July 13th of last year, an emergency call came into the Tacoma police. A man with a rifle was outside the Northwest Detention Center. It's a sprawling jail in the U.S. immigration system. Surveillance video shows what officers found when they arrived. Alarms going off, a car in flames. And at the center of it all, 69-year-old Willem Van Spronsen, a longtime far-left activist who'd been at a peaceful demonstration at the jail just hours before. When he returned alone that night, he didn't come in peace. He was carrying a semi-automatic rifle and throwing Molotov cocktails. The officers opened fire on Vance Bronson. Police say Vance Bronson was struck twice. He died at the scene. He left a farewell letter to friends, and in it was one line that would turn Vance Bronson into a symbol for both the right and the left.
I am Antifa. I stand with comrades around the world who act from the love of life in every permutation.
That's Vance Bronson's friend, Shannon McMenemy, reading the most talked about part of his note, the part where he says, I am Antifa.
Give me a fucking break. I can't. I'm just so tired of this. I'm really tired of this. Look, two men's lives were ruined because they were part of the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys was nothing but a drinking club. It was a drinking club started by Gavin McInnes, a very funny guy, not a dangerous guy like the media says. It was a drinking club started as a joke, okay? The Proud Boys were a drinking club. They went to Gavin McInnes' speech in New York City on an October evening in 2019. Antifa showed up, vandalized the building, and when these two great men who are fathers, one of them who has children who are people of color, they walk out the building and Antifa throws a bottle of piss at them. So these men start fighting the people who threw a bottle of piss at them. There were no serious injuries. And you know what? In an act of redemption, the Antifa scum who threw the piss at them, they didn't want to press charges. But it didn't matter because the far left district attorney, Cyrus Vance, wanted to get these men, and they got them. The judge compared these men to Nazi Germany. Okay? They were tried without a victim for an attempted assault and sentenced to 4 years in prison. This is unheard of. And it just goes to show, when the justice system wants to get you, they're going to get you. And they got those men. And they're still rotting in jail. And children of color are growing up without a father because of our imbalanced criminal justice system. And as I'm reading this, I'm seeing the power of propaganda. I'm seeing this. This guy was a fucking psycho. Okay? He went to a peaceful protest. Fine, fair enough. Peacefully protest all you want. Then later, he shows up, he puts a Molotov cocktail in his vehicle. Then he walks out with a semi-automatic gun and walks towards an ICE detention center. And he commits suicide by cop. Okay? And these guys are glorifying him like he's some kind of hero. And he wrote some letter that's riddled with communist buzzwords. And we're supposed to, and this is a symbol of what? To me, this is a symbol of propaganda. They're glorifying this guy like he's some kind of martyr. And it really upsets me because people's lives have been ruined. Okay? I wrote a report on right-wing political prisoners in the United States, and I did not even include those imprisoned, politically imprisoned, as a result of the Capitol riot, which it was a riot. It was not an insurrection. Okay? I have a list right here of every time the Capitol was breached. The first time it was called an insurrection was when right-wingers breached it. The only violence that happened on the day of January 6th was from a cop and left-wingers who protested trigger-happy cops for an entire summer. All of that went out the window as soon as Ashley Babbitt was murdered by a trigger-happy cop. They had no regard, no humanity for Ashley Babbitt. The left had nothing but nasty words to say about her. And you just know the scope and the weight of the media's propaganda when there are people who protested police brutality for months. But then when police brutality happens to a right-winger, a right-wing veteran by the name of Ashley Babbitt, they've no humanity. When that's happening, the left is nowhere to be found. Their humanity is nowhere to be found. They only have humanity when it's beneficial to them. They are not tolerant. They're selectively tolerant. And selective tolerance equals intolerance. So I just wanted to show you how this can happen. How propaganda it's so easy to brainwash someone when they are of a suggestible state. And I wasn't planning to do this, but I just want to show in contrast. I just told you the story of what happened to those Proud Boys. Let's see how the media framed it. And you put that article next to this one, and you can see how people would have an altered worldview. But it's destroying us. It's destroying us. You have a whole country of people believing in a lie. So I'm going to show you this. Proud Boys Maxwell Hare, John Kinsman sentenced to 4 years for Upper East Side brawl. 2 members of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, were sentenced to 4 years in prison on Tuesday over their involvement in a Manhattan brawl last October. Maxwell Hare and John Kinsman were convicted this summer of attempted assault, and riot during an attack on anti-fascists after a speech by the Proud Boys founder Gavin McInnes. Hare and Maxwell claimed they fought in self-defense, but security footage obtained by the New York Times revealed that Proud Boys initiated the attack. This is false. This is false. They need to be sued because that is a blatant lie. The footage shows Hare charging at and punching anti-fascists. A cell phone video from after the attack shows Hare and others boasting about attacking a foreigner. The Proud Boys have been designated a hate group by SPLC. Its members have repeatedly pushed white supremacist and misogynistic talking points, as well as endorsed violence against the left. Its current leader, Enrique Tarrio. Oh wow, they must be really racist if they have a leader by the name of Enrique Tarrio. Give me a break. Marched in 2017's deadly white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. Well, maybe he was protesting the taking down of the statue. You know, people were there for that reason too. The group valorizes street fights, especially against anti-fascists like the ones who protested McInnes' speech. Okay, I can't anymore. Okay. I'll go to the last sentence I read, okay? The group valorizes street fights, especially against anti-fascists like the one who protested McInnes' speech at the Metropolitan Republican Club last year. I love how it doesn't mention that they vandalized the building. That's illegal. It also blatantly lies about them throwing a bottle of piss at them. The only place online where I can find any mention of the bottle of piss is Wikipedia saying that they threw a water bottle. Yeah, nice little sneaky fucking move there. There was piss in the water bottle. How about mentioning that? What would you do if someone threw piss at you? What would you do if you were in a group and someone threw a bottle of piss at your group? Would you guys stand up for yourself? If you're men, you will. And let's go over some other shit that's so disingenuous. First of all, it says, I love how they do this. They say that the group has been designated a hate group by SPLC. That's their little, again, fucking sneaky way of saying, well, these people say they're hateful, you know? It's their sneaky, clever way of spreading propaganda without taking responsibility. SPLC has been sued many times for basically being a partisan group that tries to defame people for no reason. There's so many people who are on SPLC that are not even hateful. There is definitely a supply and demand issue when it comes to hateful people because SPLC calls anybody to the right of Nancy Pelosi is hateful to them. That's it. To them, a conservative is hateful. To them, a libertarian is hateful. You know, it's pathetic. Antifa, if they really were about tracking hate, they would put Antifa on there. Is it not hate to murder 20 people? Is that not hate? Is it not hateful to cause $2 billion worth of damage to property that is not your own? This is the power of propaganda. It says here, its members have repeatedly pushed white supremacist and misogynistic talking points. See, that's a little clever way of wording there. It doesn't say its members are white supremacists and misogynists. No. It says its members have said misogynistic things sometimes. Yeah, that means one of them made a joke one day saying, I like my women making a sandwich. Something totally lighthearted. Look, it stands as it is. The group has a bunch of people from different races in it. One of the people charged in this crime is married to a black woman and had kids with her. And not just one kid, a couple kids, like 3 kids. Okay, stop calling them misogynist, racist. They're not. And it's intellectually dishonest to say so. And there's so much propaganda and brainwashing that the judge in this case said to them, I don't want New York to turn into Nazi Germany. And if I allow you guys to get off easy, New York is going to turn into Nazi Germany. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Be safe, be smart, be relentless, and never give up.